Hey guys, it's me Lachlan and welcome today to a brand new Battlefield 4 video, and today we are discussing the big patch, and that is indeed the big September patch, which is supposed to launch in the next few weeks or the final week of September, which will essentially change Battlefield 4 as we know it today. Now the patch is called the big patch for a reason. It's not just a random name that people have assigned to it, it's the fact that this patch should essentially change everything we know about Battlefield. It should really amp the game up a notch, and should really make some key significant differences that we'll be able to witness in game, feel, and definitely feel a much more refined and fixed version of Battlefield 4. Now in today's video we're actually going to be going through these changes because I feel as though there's still quite a lot of uncertainty and quite a lot of misunderstanding about what these changes are meant to do, how they're meant to affect an in-game environment, and how they could play out for us the players. What will we notice and what will we see, and give you just a good idea of what the situation is. So to start off this change list, we have the game modes, and the two significant highlights to take from here are Rush and the Obliteration competitive game mode, which are going to be having the biggest changes in place. Now other game modes such as Obliteration Standalone, Capture the Flag and Carrier Assault will also be receiving some kind of tweaks, but the two game modes Rush and Obliteration competitive are the biggest highlights you're going to see. Now Rush is having a change in the sense that the M-coms in the actual mode itself are going to be shifted in terms of their position, and the idea behind this is to create a better flowing version of Rush and a more balanced version of Rush, because at the moment it can be a little bit of a stop-start kind of game mode. But the other one, the flip side of this, is the Obliteration competitive game mode, which is a new feature coming in. Now it has been in the game, but to be fair it's relatively broken, and if you've had any kind of chance to get hands on with this game mode, you'll know that it's really good. It's got a great environment about it, it's got good things going on, and if you're just sitting there with a group of friends and you fancy challenging each other, Obliteration competitive is definitely the place to go to. The next changes come in the slight improvements category on the blog, and the main one here is the close and medium range visual recoil. Now for close and medium range sights and reticles, they'll no longer be affected by visual recoil which takes place in the gun, so as a result you should notice somewhat of a more refinement and precise feeling in a lot of your weapons when you're firing them, and less of a sort of kickback that we do right now. It also improves the visibility for red glowing sights and reticles against bright backgrounds, which is something I think many players will benefit from, especially when we're out in the open at daytime or looking anywhere near the sun. It can get a bit frustrating when you have no idea where you're shooting. The next category falls under player movement, and you're going to see some pretty relevant changes here. Now the first one is that the movement in Battlefield 3 has essentially been taken over to Battlefield 4, but with Battlefield 4 animation, so you'll be a little bit more snappier, a little less heavier footed. That's something that I do welcome. But the most important one for me is the dampened third-person hit reactions. Now lots of people will probably be thinking, oh, what does that mean, what does that mean? Well, essentially you'll notice occasionally from time to time, especially if a player is head glitching, that if you open fire on them and you manage to hit them in the head once, they will flinch, and this will duck them down under cover, which makes essentially all head glitches incredibly hard to kill. Now that's not going to happen as much now, which means that your bullets should, in theory, be a bit more accurate. Players won't be dodging your bullets as much, and most likely those head glitches are going to have what's coming to them. Now next up we have the HUD changes, and essentially at the moment the HUD is considered to be quite cluttered. I don't really find much of a problem with it myself, but many players have complained about it, and DICE have done something about the situation, and they have basically allowed you now to completely rearrange the HUD however you like. Remove elements, change elements, reposition elements of the HUD. It's down to you to make it the way you want it to look. They should also be dampened out now as you start ADSing, so you shouldn't see as much of them. I really welcome this change. I didn't really notice much of a problem with it in the first place, but the option to rearrange your HUD elements, especially if I'm live streaming, is very welcome. Next to that we now have the revive mechanic, and this is being changed ever so slightly, but somewhat importantly as well, and they've made the revive mechanic a bit more robust and easier to understand as they described it, and they have a new UI as well. And one thing that I really like about this new change to the revive mechanic is that there now is a sound when your paddles become fully charged to give someone a 100 revive, rather than you just guessing, putting them onto like 47, they get 2 shots and they're dead again. This definitely will allow for a bit more precision, so anything like that is more than welcome in this patch. Now, we have some significant changes falling under the netcode section, and one of the most important ones is lowering the setting for the how much time a player has to inflict damage on another player. So essentially, this is a way of stopping trade kills and behind cover kills with high pings, as they described it. So definitely the around corner kills and magic bullets will most likely become less of a thing. A new automatic high frequency update setting is now default for all users, so the high frequency setting is now a baseline thing. They've also added support for the high frequency setting to PlayStation 3 and 360, which was currently lacking previously, and additional improvements to bullet damage delays and other little balances here and there, just to make the overall experience a bit more enjoyable and a little less frustrating. Next up are changes in the attachment department, and the muzzle brake is seeing a reduced impact of both its positive and negative effects. The heavy barrel is getting a buff in moving speed and also a reduction in spread with bullets to make it a bit more better for long range firing, which is its intended purpose. And also lasers are having a small buff to their standing hip fire accuracy to make them a little bit more accurate on the slide, which is pretty good to see as well. And we also have some really good changes coming in with weapons and stuff that they're going to be doing in this new patch. We're seeing bullet velocity being increased across every weapon to make slugs and all suppressed weapons selectively improved, and that was the idea that they had before, just to make things a bit more flowing and a bit more better used and utilized. Trigger delay is removed from all revolvers, which is great. The damage model for weapons has been adapted, so you're going to see a slightly lower or slightly higher damage model on both the minimum damage and maximum damage, so that's going to kind of play out in a way that we expect it to, just to make the guns a bit more significant and a bit more different between each other. One change I've really welcomed as well is the adjustment to slower rate of fire weapons at long ranges. So at the moment, a high rate of fire weapon is basically just as useful as a slow rate of fire weapon. That won't be the case anymore. Carbines and PDWs now have the bullpup modifiers to give them improved bonuses, which is again another thing very useful. Weapons with short mags will also get more ammo. DMRs will have their audio when being shot improved, so maybe a bit more of a rustic sound to it, and a slight sound decrease I feel as though is necessary because they're really loud at the moment. The SKS and the M39 EMR no longer allow you to hold their breath, which is kind of a glitch, I guess, so I'm good to see that they've ironed that out. And grenade capacity has been lowered with the resupply time increased, so definitely a ton of welcome changes, and this is part of the ever-growing scheme of Battlefield that we're seeing at the moment, especially with Battlefield Hardline, with Visceral and Dice LA, and they're really taking our changes to heart and really trying to make this game a better title and definitely improve Hardline for the better as well. Another interesting fact at the moment is that the Hardline team is also looking into the balancing of Bad Company 2 to see if they can make a slightly more robust balance change on their counterpart. And I think it's going to be a very bright future for Battlefield. I've been relatively negative about the game, really disappointed that these changes are only coming in now, but it's good to see them being ironed out here, and it's good to see the future of Battlefield being somewhat more sanctified in terms of the entire title and the entire platform itself. So it's something I've been really wanting to see. So guys, it's been me, Lachlan. I hope you enjoyed the new cool intro and the new stuff going on here. And you're also going to see EGX footage or potentially some EGX theories and ideas when I get hands-on with new games, including Hardline, Isolation, Far Cry 4, all these really cool titles. So looking forward to that. It's been me, Lachlan. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again with another Battlefield or something or another video.